Check it out.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to Yaha Gripe. I went ahead and started this. I don't think my co-hosts here are ready. But
I'm ready.
Fuck it.
We're good.
Hey, watch your language.
I know. I'm sorry. What?
You keep saying that we're going to turn into a family-rated show. And
Yeah.
then every time, 8 seconds in, you drop
And then
that
I
bomb.
raped the family. I'm sorry.
Jesus.
I just have a potty mouth.
He does.
But
I don't know where he
What
got
about
it at.
what about New Year's resolutions? Anybody?
New Year's resolutions? I didn't really make any. Matt?
And there
Try not to drop out of school.
Okay,
Oh, well.
that's good. That might be a tough one.
It's stressful.
I have made myself a resolution, but it wasn't for New Year's.
Okay.
You guys will actually like this one. I am going to try to switch from Monster to coffee.
All right.
Because,
Nice.
listen, the Monster, it's fine. The caffeine doesn't bother me, but there's so much other crap in there.
I got a coffee just for you to try.
Okay.
It's called Coffee from Monster.
It's called Monster Java. Monster Java.
Monster Java.
They actually have Java Monsters.
I believe it.
Death Wish coffee.
Oh, yeah.
It is 8 times stronger than a normal cup of coffee.
My gosh.
Well,
Look.
I'm a big, listen, when it comes to coffee, I'm a big sissy. I like the French vanillas and all the weird.
You like the flavored coffees.
Excuse me, can I have a French vanilla? But yeah, I don't know. I think I'm going to try and switch just because I think it's going to be more better for me. More gooder.
More gooder, sure.
More gooder. It's a technical term.
Here's my thing on that, though. I guess this comes from just the fact that I was constantly sick as a kid. I'm always worried about it. I often question. I have 1 cup of coffee a day, and that's more just for the hot, flavor.
Yeah.
When I wake up in the morning, I usually have a headache, and I don't feel good, and I use that cup of coffee as my little escape, if you will. I don't care much about the caffeine. I don't think caffeine does anything, but my fear, and this is what I told my wife recently, I said, if you're using caffeine and all these drinks to get energy, my question is why isn't your body making energy on its own?
Well, because you have so much caffeine in your body, it stops. Just like people that take steroids, their body quits producing testosterone. That's why when they get off and they have to take certain drugs for a certain amount of time so their body starts again and they don't grow boobies.
Oh, well, boobies are fun to play with. Imagine if you had a set.
Yeah, but see, boobies are fun to play with. I will give you that.
Look,
I
well,
just
think
don't
about it.
want some on my body.
Yeah, but think about it. A man who does yoga and is that flexible with boobies, you'd never leave the house. You'd
You
never
wouldn't
have
be
to leave the
evicted your
house.
ass.
I mean, a
Never paid your
broomstick.
bills. I'll get a boobs and I'm flexible.
I mean, think of a boobs. I'm flexible and I can do that. Start a Patreon's page, or
I don't know if
OnlyFans?
anybody would watch that more than once, though.
Oh, that's possible. Yeah, but there's a lot of people. Even if everyone in the world watched it once, you'd
I
be
would
good.
say that I might watch that once just to see if the dude broke his neck.
or his back.
And then I'd be like, okay, cool, you can do it. Next. Moving on.
I mean, I'm just saying.
Oh, my.
Anyways.
Anyway.
Okay, so Matt, your New Year's resolution is not to drop out of school.
Yeah.
Patrick doesn't really have any. You know what mine is? I'm actually only going to say this. How do I say it? I don't want to. This is a New Year's resolution. I'm going to try to get the Gripe less equipment, more reliable. I think all 3 of us could really push to get an independent place that isn't one of our homes.
We could do that.
Because last week I kind of had something go down, and you guys could have made an episode without me, but you couldn't because all the equipment was locked
here.
up in my home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why we're a bit of a late start. Sorry about that. Once
Yeah.
again, it's me, and
Well, I mean,
don't
take this the wrong way, but it was nice to have a little break.
yeah. Well,
I know it wasn't nice
I'm
for
sure
you.
it was. Yeah,
but
sure it was for you guys.
But I mean, yeah, even when we decided before things went bad, we took a couple weeks there, a week and a half, whatever it was.
Yeah.
It was nice.
Well, I think that's going to be something I'm going to push for every year. Is right after Christmas, couple of weeks, so we can be with family and enjoy the Christmas
Yeah,
and
that's fine. I'm cool with that.
New Year's, and then pick it back up.
I say I would even be all right if you guys want to do that, even once in the middle of the summer, around 4th of July, do it. Then in the Christmas time, do it. Whatever. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
So, speaking of that, did you guys have a good Christmas and New Year?
New Year's was a bit boring, but it was also therapeutic.
Yeah.
New Year's was quite interesting. We can't discuss it my New Year's?
I went home and enjoyed it with family. And
Wait,
You went home with who?
What did you say?
You went home with who?
I went home and enjoyed it with some family.
I could have swore he said I went homeless.
I thought you said I went home with, and I'm like, you went home with who?
With who?
I went home.
I went
to
homeless.
See family.
Here's the question. Sorry to interrupt. I know. I'll give you a chance. I had this thought last Christmas. Actually, I had this thought a couple of Christmases ago with the last co-host, and nothing ever come of it. Would you guys be interested, like around Thanksgiving and around Christmas, not Christmas Day and Thanksgiving Day, would do like some outreach programs?
Yeah, actually, I was going to talk about that.
What do you mean by that?
Like, think of a soup kitchen that gives soup to homeless people.
Yeah.
Like, we show up and we work for free.
Yeah.
Just to kind of give back, help out people.
Yeah.
It would be a night of our life, so to speak.
You watched me put it on silent.
He
You
didn't
guys
put it on
watched me-
silent.
You guys watched me do it.
What?
His phone started going
Phone
off.
started beeping. And you guys watched me put it on silent.
I think it happens every episode.
Well,
But
between
no.
that and the cuckoo clock, I
So-
can't complain.
But yeah, I mean,
The other thing I was going to talk to you about as far as like that, I met a guy, super, super nice guy. He is a soccer coach here at one of the high schools in our area. He wants to do he wants to come on and kind of talk about it. But what he wants to do is he wants to do like a day, like if we can find somebody to donate like a hall or something, do like a day where people that have kids that have sporting equipment that they have outgrown, cleats, things like that, baseball gloves, shit like that. And everybody goes and they trade stuff. Like, say you got a little kid, I've got an older kid, but you got older kid stuff because your kid 3 years ago played baseball, and I
Right.
need stuff for my kid. And you're like, oh, okay, and we'll trade stuff
Sure.
to keep people
So you don't have to buy equipment every year because your kid grows up.
Yeah, exactly. He wants to try to do something like that for like everybody in like Stark County, Summit County. What I mean, I guess anybody could probably come. I don't think he would care. But I kind of want to have him on, kind of talk about it, see if that's something that like we'd be interested in trying to help him do, because I think that would be super cool.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. When I worked for the repo company, a lot of people don't come and get their property. They'll
Yes.
get a car repoed, and they just don't care.
Right.
And you collect a lot of things, towels, clothes. Now, all of that stuff needs washed, but I mentioned to the owner of the repo place, I said, you got some money. I said, that's just a suggestion. I'm not saying you have money, so let's spend it. I'm just saying, have you ever thought about like renting a storefront and just collecting, or not a store, but just like a warehousing some of this stuff for people who have like house fires
Yeah.
and could use crappy dishes, crappy Tupperware, things that you could wash and clean and
People can
give,
use, yeah.
jeans that aren't Levi's, shirts that are just crappy T-shirts. But
Right.
because we would get it, I mean, we would give this stuff, so much of it, to Goodwill. We're talking, man, a truckload of boxes that we would give to Goodwill,
Right.
and that's fine. That's how they do it, because we're not really, I keep saying they aren't really allowed to sell it because that belongs to somebody else.
Right.
It's just through legality. Basically, they store it
Right.
for X amount of time, and then after that, they're allowed to
Yeah.
get rid of it.
I think it's 90 days there. Obviously.
Well, they did it for 30, so it
was 30. Okay, it
the
depends on what state
minimum.
you're
I
in
mean,
then,
even
yeah.
if the minimum was 30. Yeah, and I completely understand from a business standpoint. There's only so much space you can afford, so you can only
Absolutely.
store
You
so
gotta get
much
rid of it,
stuff.
right.
Yeah.
But things like windshield wipers and stuff like that, we would give to the mechanics garage so they can repair cars. But most of it, and windshield wiper fluid, we
Oh,
give
yeah.
to that. Yeah, but most of it went to Goodwill. And I told him, I said, we don't have to donate it to Goodwill.
And Goodwill is not a charitable organization. One guy owns that.
I know, but I still kind of support Goodwill. Yeah, Goodwill. Not because they suck at donating. It's because if you're poor and you need jeans, you can buy a pair of
Yeah.
jeans for $4 or $5 instead of
Yes.
40 or 60. So they help out in that way. And I go to Goodwill quite often. I can't tell you how many times I've
I
bought
go all the
cups,
time.
dishes, because you can buy a Cornell plate for $12 instead of 30. Anyways. And he basically said, it's not feasible. It would cost me a fortune. You never know when someone's house is going to burn down. Then you have to advertise. You have to let people know that I'm out there. And if you have a house fire,
But if you give it to the Salvation Army, that's what they do with it.
do they really? I didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure that's what they do with most of the stuff you give to the Salvation Army. That's for people in need, people that are just starting out, like somebody that like was homeless that just got a job and got an apartment. They'll help them. People get set up, things like
See,
that.
I thought Salvation Army was just Goodwill's competition.
No, I think the Salvation Army does a little bit more with community wise.
We should look into that before we say, no, they do this, and then we find out
Yeah,
we're wrong.
we'll have to, don't, like I said, never quote anything I say. I think I've mentioned that a couple thousand times. But I'm almost positive that they do more with the community than Goodwill does.
But anyways, what you were saying, no, that sounds great. That sounds like a nice way for, especially, people who don't have a ton of money. Well, actually, everyone's broke right now. Even
Right.
rich people are more broke now than they were.
Well, see, I never
4
really
years
thought about
ago.
it, but we were kind of talking about it. He says, well, you got to think about it. If a family has 3 kids, each is in a different sport, they're spending $30, $40 a day in gas just to get kids to practices and back.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, Jesus.
And
that's
all of that
ridiculous.
gear is a fortune.
It's ridiculous. And like you say, sometimes they wear it for one season and then it doesn't fit anymore. So like I said, I think this would be a good idea, like to throw this together, or, and not really throw it together, but like help them get this together and set it up. Like I got a buddy that has a little hall that we might be able to use for something like that he might be able to,
No, you could even take it like swap meets.
Yeah.
Just rent a parking lot this particular weekend,
I hate this.
Why don't you just turn it off?
I did it.
It's for an hour. It's like, I can't turn my phone off for an hour.
Listen, my phone is off.
Someone could need Poon, or some Poon could need me.
Listen. And it's not Poon. They are friends. That's just like, who was it? Oh, it was, remember Ceci? The one day she was like, why do you have all that stuff in your car? I said, because you never know when the phone's going to ring. And she's like, okay.
I have a trunk full of pleasuring devices.
There's more than a trunk now. I have a
Oh my
whole-
God.
Dude, I have a whole pack-out box now, dude.
Nothing compares to when that night when me and Austin was walking up behind your car. We
Yeah,
were just
that
like
was-
looking, and you were showing me or showing us your stuff, and Austin's like, "Oh, well, like, how do you use that or
And I
something
was
like that?" And he's like, Patrick's like, "Well, turn around, I'll show you." And Austin's like, "Wait, okay," so smacks him on the ass with this whip or paddle or something, and Austin freaks the fight. He's like, "Bro, what are you doing, man? What are you doing?" Because Patrick just was like, "Well, you wanted me to show you
Don't
what it
ask
felt like."
if you don't want me to show you.
Austin is such a man-child.
Dude, oh my God, that was hilarious. That was the same night that Ceci and Rachel were in the car.
Yeah, we were
like-
just kind of like looking at your stuff. That was funny.
Dude, the old co-host from here, he's standing going like this. Get in the parking lot. I'm like, dude, put that down. It's not a lasso, man. You can't be waving it over your head.
I'm looking for a steer to ride.
Ain't nothing here but steers and queers. Oh, God, poor Ricky. I'm pretty sure it was Ricky that was spinning on the yo, man. I don't think the people in the next neighborhood have ever seen that. Maybe you should stand on the hood of the car and try that.
Yeah. There's something you guys may not know is almost everybody that's been on this podcast are friends, and we all hang out from time to time.
We do kind of all know each other.
But anyway,
Well, this one I kind of know, but,
does anyone really
By the
know
way,
him?
how is Mom?
She's doing good.
She's doing good? Oh, my gosh. If people don't, they probably don't, but yeah, everybody says this is my kid, and he's not really my kid. I mean, I guess he could have been, but, the German Shepherd beat me over the fence.
Wow.
Oh, okay, all right.
Just wow.
Enough
I found a couple more things.
enough ragging on Matt.
But that's, anyways, we have a year to figure that out on
Yeah, I think that's
how we
something-
can give back. That was something that, like I said, the first co-host and I talked about, and he just couldn't get off his butt to do anything.
Yeah, like that there, I think is something we could probably do. And I think we would probably, if we put something together, I think spring would be best, like before all the sports start.
Right. That's your buddy. Yeah, he needs to come on and talk, because if he comes on and talks, if that nothing else, we'll put kind of a fire under his ass to do the organizing part of it.
Yeah.
Because that's what that is. I mean, that is getting people together. That's all He first needs to get his friends and us together to talk about it, and then once
Right.
people see that we have made that first step, we have a place today, and we're talking about it today.
Right.
And he needs to get like all the ducks in order, like how to get the donating stuff. I mean, obviously, is he talking about like a swap meet where you sell the equipment to each other?
Well,
or?
no, like they could
Just
trade
an
it,
even
they could
trade, a
sell
barter,
it,
or
or they
you-
could sell it, whatever
Okay.
you want to do. Like it just, I say, just an easier way for people to get things.
Sure. So what he's talking about is he wants to organize. We'll just keep using the word like a flea market or a swap meet.
Yeah, kind of thing for
That's-
people with kids to
Sure.
give away or swap out or trade or, like you say,
So yeah,
small fee to get stuff. that
Now
no
the only
longer
problem
fits
is
their kids.
we're talking about it now. before he's had a chance to do any of that.
Well, no, I talked
So
to him
someone else could beat him to the punch.
Well, no. I talked to him about it. He said he wants to do it. He wants to come on and discuss it. So he's definitely in. I just got to get a hold of him and get with you and find a time and a day that we can do it because, like I say, he does teach high school sports.
Right.
So we'd have to do like a weekend recording session.
That's not what I meant, though. Like, I meant we're talking about it now, and this will be
Oh.
posted so somebody else could, with a little more motivation, could like beat him to the punch.
And actually, I don't think he would care. I
Oh,
think
he just wants it to happen.
I think he just kind of wants to do it just so he could.
Do you
help
know his name?
kids. I know his first name is Sean.
All right. If we knew his name, we could say, his name, and then we say this was his idea. But
Yeah. Well, we don't want to throw out his whole name anyway. But
well, we'll see if he puts his first name or his whole name to this idea.
yeah, and I'm sure he will. Like I said, we just got to get a hold of him and get it going here. I can give you a little bit more information about him here in a second. But he's a very nice guy. He's Irish as hell, like me.
That don't mean nothing.
So we get along quite well. Oh my God. But yeah,
Well, I mean, we all have day jobs, so it all depends on how much of this does he want.
we definitely all have day jobs.
All it just depends on how much of his life does he want this to.
Oh, I think he would commit a little bit of time to this. He's very, very, very motivated to do the things that he wants to do.
That's good.
So, oh my goodness.
Oh my! But anyways, okay. So yeah, we just need to get some. That's another thing. We need to get people on this.
Right, and like I say, I think we can do that. We'll, like I say, I know that Toots can help us with a few people downtown Massillon that she knows that can help us out. This guy's willing. The guy I know that has the little hall that he rents out, his daughter runs it. I'm 99.9% sure she's in. My friend, it'll be, after this, next couple weeks, but she owns Chocolates by Aaron. She's said she'd be willing to come on and kind of chit chat with us about things. But yeah, I mean, like I said, that would be stuff we could do. Like,
You know what I'd like to do, and Matt, you might be able to help us out with this. I want to get somebody on this podcast that can talk about modern business, especially its relation to employees, since that seems to be what I bitch about the most, is how employers say they want to be on the employee side, but they're really not. And I want a college professors, someone with statistics that can tell me like when this movement started, because I happen to notice it in the 90s and in the tail end of the 90s and 2000s, but it didn't really pick up steam until after, say, 2010. So, like, which company started doing this? Like, we'll just lie to our employees and get maximum production out of them. If they don't
Right.
like it, they can quit, and we'll actually use the wheel of continuous employees in and out instead of trying to stop it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I can reach out. I mean,
Yeah.
there's plenty of people I can reach out to.
Right. All we need is one person willing to come on and say, is this a real thing? Yes. All right. Well, when did it start? Is it a real thing? No. Well, why am I seeing this then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. That's it. You guys can all kiss my left nut.
No thanks. Is your left nut the big one or the little one?
My left nut would be the lower one.
Oh, okay.
Now, see that maybe that's something that some people know. Maybe we have girls that are listening, but that's normal. All men have one lower than the other. You know
Not only
why?
that, but just like women, one of our testicles is smaller than the other one.
Do you know why one's lower than the other?
No.
If they weren't, you wouldn't be able to walk.
Oh, yeah, you got a point there. One has to take the high road.
Right. If they were smashing together every time you took a step, you'd be laying on the ground puking.
That's one of those
every
things
time you
that
tried to go get a sandwich.
that's one of those things that you don't think about. Nature kind of took care of it, so
Yeah,
it's a
kinda-
non-issue.
Exactly. Oh my. That's like, who was it a couple weeks ago asked me what it's like to have nuts, and I told her, I said, take your ovaries out, put them in a Ziploc bag, and start running. And she was like, what? And I'm like, that's what it's like.
Except his ovaries have as many nerve endings.
Oh, I would bet they do.
I'm not so sure. Anyways,
But yeah, that's, yeah.
so
okay.
is there any women out there that's willing to take a a jab to the ovaries to see if they're as sensitive as testicles?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, we could do our own little experiment.
Or
right here.
instead, maybe we might have some educated people out there that can be like, hey,
Wouldn't
you know
that be
what?
great? Wouldn't that be
We
great?
don't actually have to punch a woman in ovaries to find out. Science tells us.
If we could just get some educated people on this program, it would be educational. We'd learn something.
Mark wants to punch somebody in the ovary.
I just want to see if they're as sensitive. I just want to see if they're as sensitive. That's all.
I think my way might keep us out of jail.
Oh, that's fine. I'm not opposed to your way. I was just saying we could conduct our own little experiment.
Well, what if we find somebody willing
Right.
to
Then
let
we
us
won't have to worry
to
about
let
it.
us punch them in the ovary?
I'm going to say you're going to have a really rough time with that search.
Maybe, but the internet is full of people who remember the cinnamon challenge and the pod?
Oh, my
The
God.
Tide Pod? And
Listen,
people are always willing to hurt themselves for views.
Well,
we're
that's
just
true.
saying that we're willing to hurt
All right,
someone
ladies,
else for
ladies,
views.
Ladies, call us if you want to become famous.
Yeah. If you'll take a shot in the ovary,
Viewership will
How are you actually going to
skyrocket.
hit them in the ovary?
I don't know.
See, we're going to need a medical expert at least to show us how to do that.
Yeah, they can create a tunnel. We'll just get it'll look like a rod from an engine.
And a
It'll be
hammer.
flat, and we just kind of go, boop. I don't know.
And see if they throw up.
And if you need comparison, someone can kick Pat in the nuts, and then we'll see
Negative.
how he works.
Negative. We're going to go with Matt on this one. My nuts have taken enough abuse.
We can't do.
Thank you.
We can't do. He's too young. He's got all. We've had our kids.
I've already had too many testicle injuries. I guess that leaves you.
My balls are so small. You'll most likely.
Well,
hit
that's more information than I needed. How about you, sir?
I don't hold back.
Mine are actually quite large.
Well, if you're gonna boast about them, then we got to put them to the test.
Oh, my God. See what you have to look forward to when you get older, kid? You'll have long balls.
Hey, you don't know you're old until you go to take a dump and your balls are hanging in the water.
Oh, my God. Don't
like,
even start. That water's cold.
What is it, Bad Grandpa? Well, they started as a Jackass skit, but then they turned it into a movie. He always wears like the
balls
fake
hanging-
testicles, and they're always hanging through his shorts and shit.
Dude, the one where he catches the fish with the big dick and he's trying to reel it in and smack it in the... Oh, my God. So stupid. You know, they shot a lot of that movie in Ohio, the Bad Grandpa movie?
I didn't
Really?
know that.
Yeah, like in Cleveland. The kid is from Cleveland, I think.
Figures.
Somebody look that up.
What?
If the kid from Bad Grandpa is from Cleveland. He's from Ohio. I think he's from Cleveland.
All right,
Or
you
up
do.
that
You're
way.
smarter than we are, Matt. You do it.
Well, I got a bunch of other stuff up here. we
Right,
want to
same here.
Discuss.
All right, here's something we wanted to talk about before Christmas, but we never got around to it.
Yeah, this just blew. We seen this like on like a feed for either Instagram or X or
Yeah.
something. I don't know. And I showed it to you, and you're like, "Holy cow, we gotta talk about that."
So I did a little digging. So the original article, and I think it was posted. This says November 13th of 2023, but I think it actually came out as a story in 22. And it reads as follows: morgue worker
Morgue, that's more.
stole human testicles from corpses to help her win homemade spaghetti sauce contest. And of course, it shows a picture of this really horrible woman. And then it goes on to say Carterville, Illinois. Sorry, I thought that was two, but
Well,
I can see that one line is slightly larger than the
Yes,
other one.
they just look the same.
So Carterville, Illinois, which may or may not be a real place. Peggy Archibald, 53, had been a participant in Carterville's annual spaghetti sauce contest for the past 13 years. In those dozen-plus years, the highest she had placed was second place, and Peggy knew second place was just the first loser. So, to summarize,
Ricky Bobby must have been her kid.
so she started stealing cadaver balls and putting them as meatballs in her spaghetti sauce. And then apparently, here we go. Judges were going back for second helpings after the balls. And I lost my place. Something they had never done before with her previous entries.
Well,
The time for the judges to crown a winner was soon approaching. One judge went back for Peggy's table for thirds, only there would be a problem on the third plate of spaghetti that would derail all of Peggy Archibald's dreams. That problem? A prosthetic testicle. Apparently one of the balls she took wasn't real. because that particular person must have lost a testy and wanted a fake one so he looked normal. The judge chomped down on a meatball, and a silicone rubber testicle filled with saline exploded in his mouth, and the jig was up.
In more ways than one.
Upon closer inspection of Archibald's meatballs, a discovery was made. The meatballs were not meatballs in traditional sense, but human testicles.
Well, those are meatballs.
So she was arrested immediately without incident. Now, I thought this was an absolutely fantastic story. Just one of those stories that just stick with you forever. Unfortunately, upon a little bit of inspection or digging, I come to realize that that is not a real article.
Dum, dum, dum.
Yes, it is a fake article. And I don't know where it showed up. I am on a website right now by the name of snoops.com, and it's a fact-checked website, and they've checked it. Did morgue assistant use corpses' testicles to win spaghetti cook-off? And apparently, where it first showed up in July of 22, there was a caption at the top that says, despite somewhat official-looking newsreel that kvta4.com might appear to have, the truth is the website bears a satire disclaimer. And the disclaimer just simply says that, oh, crap.
What happened?
Our battery is running low.
Oh, my gosh. Do we just plug it in?
We do need to plug it in.
All right.
All right. It says KVTA4 is a fabricated satire newspaper and comedy website. Uses invented names and all of its stories, except in cases where public figures are being satirized. So, unfortunately, this fantastic story that we love so much
Is false.
isn't real.
Oh, my. So now...
All right. So, Matt, what do we got going on?
All right. So I was looking some things up, and I found this news report from the 15th, so yesterday.
Yesterday.
When was it? When was it?
Last night.
There you go.
Last afternoon.
He just bails on it altogether.
But 6 people. It says 6 people are missing from St. Louis, believed to be in clutches of an online cult. It says police believe the 6 have become followers of Rashad Jamal, a convicted child molester and former rapper turned online guru who operates the University of Cosmic Intelligence.
Okay, so now, again, I'm not trying to be an asshole here, but I'm looking here, and the picture I have only shows 4, but they're all African American. Are they all African American people?
I think. See, like this one only shows 2.
That's really weird. Like most cults are like whoever, wherever, but like it looks like these are all. That's different. Like I'm like I said, I'm not trying to be asshole, but that's different. Like most cults, they don't care. You know what I mean?
These people have been missing since August. Wow.
That is pretty. I wonder where they're at.
I'm confused. So it says the cult is led by Rashad Jamal, who is serving an 18-year prison sentence in Georgia after he was convicted in August of 1 count of child molestation and 1 count of cruelty to children, police in the St. Louis suburb of Berkeley said.
So it's open season on children in St. Louis.
Well, he's in prison, so
Oh,
no.
okay, so no more.
But we don't know if he's teaching these people that are missing, if they are with him, because again, this is alleged they're with him. If he's teaching them to be the same.
Okay, Jamal's website says it is geared towards enlightening and illuminating the minds of the carbonated beings, a.k.a. your so-called black and Latino people of Earth.
How are they carbonated? Do they fizz?
That's why I chuckled. I was like, what?
Okay, so I guess that means that they are all. Well, I guess not all, because it says Hispanics too.
Yeah.
Latino?
Well, black and Latino.
Okay, that's a new spin on a cult, right? Like Whoa,
Sorry.
hello.
Sorry, everybody.
Like I say, I listened to another podcast that does a lot with cult things and stuff like that. That's the first I've ever heard of that. That's kind of wild.
Yeah.
It's more or less just it says Gibson's daughter. I don't want to botch this. Gary L. German, 26, and 3-year-old grandson Ashton Mitchell were last seen with the 4 other missing people in August at a Quality Inn near St. Louis Lambert International Airport. The pair and the 4 others, and it goes on to name all of them.
Here, I got their names right here if you want to hear them.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh my gosh. Naaman Williams, Jarrell German, her 3-year-old son, Ashton Mitchell, Michaela Thompson, Michaela Wickerson, excuse me, not Wilkerson, Wickerson. And there, let's see, that's it.
A 3-year-old daughter.
Yeah, that's
all of
what I
them. The Malaya.
Yeah.
So all of them are under 30 years old, and then 2 of them are under 3 years old. That is ridiculous. It says had all been living in a rented house in Berkeley before they vanished.
Yeah, by the airport it says. I don't know why that makes a bit of difference. But.
So yeah, they just met this guy online, or I don't even think they met him online because it sounds like he's in prison right now.
Well, I'm sure he gets some.
They just don't know where they're at. It's kind of weird.
Okay, it says here, it says the confusing internet home of the cult run says it is not okay. We're going to go to St. Louis. No, the internet home is whatever, has 90,000 followers. 90,000. Are you kidding me?
I'll read this last little bit. Kind of talks about him and stuff he said. So it says, in a recent jailhouse interview, excuse me, with the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, Jamal denied being a cult leader, even though in videos posted online that has gotten over more than 200,000 views, he regularly calls himself a god, a prophet, or a messiah. Jamal, who insisted that he was an innocent man, that the molestation charges stemmed from a child custody dispute, that's what they all say, also denied knowing the 6 people who vanished from the St. Louis suburb. Again, that's what they all say. And he said in his interview, I am pretty sure I have never met these people, he told the newspaper. I get on my phone and I give a lecture, I go live, and then I get off the phone. I do not know the people that are in my live stream. It's too many people.
Yeah.
So he must be doing live streams from prison.
So, yeah, I'm confused.
I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt if you could.
Have you seen some of the stuff people are getting in prisons nowadays?
It's
like,
insane. It's insane.
There's people like getting full kitchens and shit like that. Like, how do you shove a stove in your ass to get into prison?
Well, it depends on where you're in prison. You have different privileges. Like if this guy, which this is really weird because I mean I know a little bit about this kind of stuff because I was never in prison, but I've been in a little bit of trouble. Most people that are charged with what he's charged with don't leave their cell because they get their asses handed to them every time they leave the cell. Mm-hmm. If you're in prison and you're convicted of hurting children or senior citizens, you are in bad shape, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess the next thing we could talk about, that's not really too much.
That's pretty wild. Like I
found
to hit the bookend that there is some missing people, right?
Yeah, 6
people are still missing.
There's a total of 6.
Yeah, 4
right
adults and 2 children, right?
And that's really there was nothing else that was
So
said.
everything else is speculation, but there's these missing people, and then all
Are
the
still out
speculation
there.
around it.
So either this guy is leading a cult, and they went to he could have told them go to said hotel, motel, whatever, and then all of a sudden they get kidnapped and brought into the cult, or they're just who knows.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I guess on to the next thing, which is still kind of like another saddened one, is the January 4th, there was a school shooting in Perry, Iowa.
Yeah.
It's right outside of Des Moines. There was a 17-year-old that went in and shot and killed, now 2 people. I think wounded 5 others. He a very small town. It says it's a city of around 7,800 people. So it's not huge, big at all. But he had a pump action shotgun and a small caliber handgun. Now this just goes in. This don't go into too much detail on this, but I have seen some things that he actually posted on TikTok. He posted on TikTok, kind of questioning videos of him always carrying doing what kids do and like holding a branch that looks like a gun and pointing it at like the camera and blah 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 and that. But what really was kind of creepy is he posted a picture. Let me see if I can find the picture. He posted a picture in the school bathroom.
Okay.
With a blue bag
Oh,
beside the toilet.
And he had the guns.
And he had the guns in the bag when he posted that picture on Snapchat, Instagram, whatever it was.
Oh, wow.
But he took a picture in the school bathroom before he did it.
Like right before he did it, or like a
Yes.
day before he did it?
No, right before he did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see if I can find that picture. But yeah, so then to add on to, it's actually right here. It literally says, "Now we wait." And supposedly in that bag was the guns that he had with him.
That's an awful small bag to have a pump action shotgun in, but okay.
But it could be a small one. But that's, again, speculation. I don't know. But he is in the school bathroom. But to add on to that, the principal, this was just 2 days ago.
Yeah.
The principal that was injured, one of the injured, has sadly passed, it looks like, from his injuries. So,
How many kids?
I think it was. Let me go back.
I hate to say that, but unfortunately, I do care more about the kids than I do the principal.
Yeah.
Not much more, but I do care more.
My
So
question.
there was one student who was killed. It says everyone else who was injured is expected to survive. Sadly, besides the principal, which just came out. But I think the rest of them. I think that all of them were kids.
So he shot all kids except for the principal.
Excuse me. Yeah. It says fatally
this
shot
stuff
a
is
sixth
gaining-
grader and wounded 4 other students and a school administrator. That's what it was.
Okay.
See, this is the problem. Now, this one I don't think has been splashed all over the news, though, right?
No, it wasn't super. Like, it was big news, but like when
Yeah.
I first saw it, is I get like breaking news articles from Twitter, well, X. And this was one of those that popped up, and then I really haven't seen much of it besides maybe flashes of it on the news when we get to work.
I seen it because it was on the TV in
Yeah.
the lunchroom at work.
So I don't really watch too much live TV, but I haven't seen anything about it on like Facebook or anything like that.
Well, the reason I ask is I think that this stuff is getting more popular, and I think the more people get, they don't view negative publicity anything other than publicity. you
Yes.
know? And these kids are getting famous even though they're offing themselves.
See, and I think, well, this guy here, I think this kid, got shot by the cop, but
Still.
I think you're 1,000% right. I think that they are not advertising this stuff because of the fact that, like you say, it's
It's just
making
going to get
people-
more popular. They're going to
Yes.
keep doing it. Kids,
So,
I mean,
I think they finally realized
whether it's a young teenager or an older teenager, teenagers are kids, and kids are dumb, so they don't think properly, and they think being famous for a week is being famous for a week.
Yeah.
he actually did kill himself.
Oh, I thought it said 3. He got killed by 3 gunshot wounds.
Responding officers found victims who had been shot and the shooter dead of a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
Okay.
This is in
That's the only
chapter,
good thing
blah, blah,
about the story.
Okay.
blah. It's just so weird, like, and it sucks because, like, you never, even for all these mass shootings that have happened, and then the shooters that are still alive, you can never truly figure out why.
Oh, I honestly, it's for attention.
Some of them, I would agree with that. I don't know about all
But-
of them.
At the same time, it's like you can get into, like, mental disabilities and things like that, or you can even go as far as saying, I don't know how many people believe in this, but sometimes I do, depending on what it is, but truly being possessed by some kind of outside entity. I believe in paranormal.
I do
but,
too.
I don't think anyone can deny that. They
Yeah.
can just deny whether they believe it or not.
Yeah.
But these ones that die because of suicide, it's like you never truly know why.
Yeah.
Well, I will say that I think that there's a lot of it is.
A lot of it is definitely attention, I think.
Well, but no, I think the other thing that you got to realize too is a lot of it, and people hate this because they don't think it should happen, but bullying really messes with some kids.
It
Like,
depends. Yeah, it
But, I
depends.
mean,
and I'm not
so-
saying it's all of them.
I was going to say, because, like, you got a 17-year-old kid, and the one that he did kill was a 6th grader.
Yeah, it was
Is he
11 years
getting
old.
bullied by a 6th grader?
But
I
I'm
mean,
saying
that's crazy.
I'm not saying this particular
Well,
case.
no, yeah, no, I get what you
But
mean.
in general, like a lot of those kids are just to the point where they're like,
They finally just snapped.
they don't care anymore. They get to the point where they absolutely do not care.
And honestly, like, because I've seen it a lot personally too, and this isn't going to change anything, but a lot of it starts at home. A lot of times they don't have a good home life.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
parents could be separated, or they're constantly arguing, or
Right.
the dad could be abusing the mom, or vice versa. The
Right,
mom could be
like,
abusing the dad.
And it doesn't have to be, like I say, it doesn't have to be other
Yeah.
kids doing it. Like as you say, it could happen in the home, whatever. But I think a lot of these kids just, they don't see any other way out.
And the 17-year-old should have never had a firearm to begin
Well,
with.
the problem
Well-
with that is how do I say it? You could. I have been shooting guns since I was, I think, 5.
But you weren't allowed free access to those firearms, though,
Yes,
were you?
I was.
Oh,
my,
you were?
my 22.
Oh, yeah.
I got my 22 when I was, I think, 13, and that's only because I was able to buy it myself. So from age 13, my 22 was sitting in my room,
Yep.
along with my guitar. Now the difference is I mean, I was bullied probably. As soon as I say this, it's going to sound like I just want attention. I was bullied by everybody. Okay, not just the teachers I went to school with or the students. I was literally bullied by everybody. I was suicidal when I was 14. Didn't pull the trigger. But I never thought about killing. I mean, I've thought about killing other people all the fucking time.
Well, I mean, everybody thinks about it.
Right.
But, I mean,
But in it deep down, I didn't want anybody to die. I just wanted the bullying to stop. So suicide was
Exactly.
just a way to end it, especially when you feel unloved.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? But no, I always had access to a gun. So just the problem is it's an easy thing to say. You know, kids are dumb and they're young and they shouldn't have access to the guns. The problem is that that's almost a physical impossibility because almost everybody, even a young kid, knows a kid whose dad's got weapons that aren't locked; they're just there.
Right. Or
I
has an
always knew
uncle or whatever, yeah.
I always knew where my dad's pistol was, and he never kept it out. He kept it in his underwear drawer, but I knew where it was. So access, you have to be careful when you talk about access because the only way to get rid of access is to get rid of guns altogether. And I'm against that, especially now when
absolutely.
we have a government who's so ready to just make all of our decisions for us.
well, see, and the other thing too is, and
So we need to come up with a different approach.
Yeah.
First off, how many people have looked into these kids in their past? Do they all come from broken homes or one?
what- yeah.
You know what I mean? Has anyone done that, or is it politically incorrect because everyone wants to talk about gun control?
Well, I know.
well, see, and that's the problem. Everybody wants to make it about the gun. They don't want to make
Yeah.
it about the person that's doing it. And I'm not saying that
I want to say
it's ridiculous. You have to figure out what the issue is that caused that person.
First off,
to
let's
do
look at it.
something.
Let's look at the truth here. Let's say that they want to get rid of guns because of these gun shootings or these school shootings.
Yes.
Now, every time I bring this up, the people who are for gun control just laugh in my face because apparently it's such a ridiculous concept. And those who aren't against gun control or are against gun control don't really think about it. But let's take, for example, if there's no guns. First off, man has been killing man since man has been on the earth. They use
Absolutely.
rocks, then they use swords.
yeah.
Right.
So a steak
just a
steak
tool.
knife can kill somebody.
Yes, the gun is just the tool.
So let's imagine this last kid who was in the bathroom taking pictures, who wanted the attention. He started the ball rolling. Look at me. Look what I'm about to do. Right? Imagine if he had a tote bag full of pipe bombs
Right.
made out of aluminum and household chemicals with a fuse.
And just started blowing shit up.
Now imagine he just lit the fuse and tossed it in the room. Even if someone got to that thing in time, it still would go off. Now, I mean, death is death. It's all tragic and it's all terrible. You don't want to think about it. But what I'm saying is if he had 16 pipe bombs instead of a pistol,
He probably killed a lot
he
more people.
would, I don't know, even if he wouldn't, it's still the same situation. He just
You're
changed.
still.
There was a
It's
guy.
It's a different tool.
There
It's
was a
just
guy a couple
different
years
tool.
ago who killed a bunch of people by driving his car into
Do
a
that.
crowd.
Yes.
So what all do we eliminate? Do we eliminate automobiles because you can kill somebody with it? Can we eliminate all sharp implements because, like, we're talking bow and arrows, steak knives, butcher knives, lawnmowers?
Right.
Let's talk about a
Let's
creative
talk about
way.
the act,
Right.
not the tool.
And what caused the act. Right. And that's the issue. It's
And
like,
I think, my personal opinion, is that these far left, because I tend not to, I am not far right, but I'm also not far left. I tend to just let everyone have freedom and see what we do with it. But these people who talk about gun control like it's going to fix everything, it just sounds like they're loonies to me.
right. There's a guy that has a podcast, excuse me. Boy, English is tough. But anyway, he goes on to like college campuses and he puts up a sign about whatever, changed my mind.
Oh yeah, I know.
And he does a lot on gun control, and people sit down and start throwing all this rhetoric around, and they're like, wait a minute. And he's like, wait a minute. According to this particular place, that's not true. This is what it is. Then they'll say something else. Wait a minute. According to this particular, and he'll spout off real true numbers and facts from reputable places, not from just anti-gunners. And dude, he kills people. And then he had this other one where he had, I think it was 4 people that were totally against guns. And he said, if I could take you somewhere and show you that you can't just go and get a gun and kill somebody, would you change your mind? Well, yeah, I mean, because you can just get a gun anywhere. Okay, fine. And he would take them to the gun shop and say, okay, get a gun. And none of them could do it.
Yeah.
Then there was a couple of them that even stayed for other things, and the one even started working at the gun shop, whatever. And she was like, I've never heard of anybody ever saving somebody else with their home firearm or their. And he's like, oh, really? Okay, come on, let's go. And he takes her somewhere to meet somebody, and this guy shot somebody that came into his home with him and his wife and his kids. Later on, the cops found out that guy had killed like 6 people in home invasion robberies in that town. And he's like, okay, so now you have met somebody, and now she's a gun person.
Yeah.
Like he like went and showed her real hard facts instead of just what the people are spouting off, and now she's for guns. And the other thing that a lot of people don't realize, and I don't know, I'm sure we'll get a million comments on this, but
I hope
there are.
I hope we just get a million comments.
But no, there are places where guns are banned, and they have the absolute worst crime rates in America.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can't argue the fact that the Democrat-run cities have the highest crime of anywhere in the country.
Well, you can't.
That's just fact. And of course, they can blame everything. Well, all the criminals go there to make the Democrats. I mean, I heard a teenager say that, and she was in college. She wasn't in high school, and it just made me laugh. But that's not the point. Like I said, I try not to lean because the Republicans aren't right either.
No, none of that's the problem with the way
that's
it is today.
one of the reasons why we're supposed to be armed, because we can't trust the Democrats or the Republicans.
Right.
And when they try to take our rights, we have the right, and we are
them.
supposed to take the government back. Now,
Right.
that's a terrible thing to talk about because a lot of death happens when you go to overthrow a government.
Absolutely.
100%.
But
A
at the
lot
same
of people
time,
die, and that's terrible.
You can't
But-
take away what this country was built upon.
But
You just can't do it.
our founding fathers
English is tough. We already went through this.
they did understand that is just how it has to happen sometimes.
Right. But
So again, it's not the guns, because if you take away the guns, especially nowadays with the internet, you can make pipe bombs. I mean, buying aluminum piping and cap ends are not expensive.
You know what else
Right.
you could do? You could take a like a big bulldozer
and just drive into the place.
and just
that was a
put
great
armored
documentary.
plates and
Great
everything.
documentary.
I have to say though, that's more difficult than just getting your hands.
Yeah.
on
You know
a
what
handgun.
I'm talking about, right?
Right.
Right.
The guy
The
in
Killdozer?
Colorado. Yeah.
I was actually just looking it up. I was like, because
That's
that's what I was
actually-
going to say. That's people will get creative. That guy got creative because
Well, that guy had, number one, had money, and he had some friggin' skills, son. Did you see that thing?
Yeah.
That cat knew what the hell he was doing. He built a machine.
It says
son.
he used like concrete and bulletproof
yeah.
sheets and
Oh, yeah.
But if nothing else, it'll really separate the men and the boys. Those who talk about gun controls and those who only oppose it, and no one's talking about how do we actually fix the problem.
Yeah,
like
right.
when are we going to start teaching the kids that hey, killing people is, I don't care what video games you play, killing people
Right.
is not okay. There is another way. But I don't think it's ever going to happen because I think the Democrats are running the schools and they're teaching kids, in my personal opinion, correct me. If you think I'm wrong, hit me up. I think they're teaching kids that protesting is a good thing. To just go ahead and, even though you're a child, you can't vote, and you don't understand politics because you don't have the minds, don't have the brain for it yet. Because the one thing about politics is it affects everybody.
Absolutely.
So when you make a decision politically, you have to think about what's best for everybody, not just for one particular group. That's why we're in the trouble we're in. A lot of the things that they're voting for is only beneficial to a very small minority. And they say, well, what about that minority? Okay, let's come up with something that's a little more fair for everybody. So everyone has the same opportunities, but they don't want to do that.
Right.
They say the Republicans only want to benefit the rich and Democrats only want to benefit the poor. Both of those scenarios are wrong. and none of them are. There's just you're far right or you're far left, and the kids are being educated. Oh, you don't have to be a boy. You can be whatever gender you want. But my question is who cares? Why would you teach 5-year-old that he can choose his gender? Why even go there?
Right. Why was that kid even
I mean,
care?
if you think a 5-year-old or a 3-year-old or gives a shit, they don't. Maybe today they want to be a girl because they can dress like a girl. Maybe tomorrow they want to be a boy because they want to ride a dirt bike or do something that boys do. Why does that kid have to worry about the gender to do either one of those?
Just do whatever.
Just let the kid do what he wants to do. But they push this. They push this. Oh no, you're a girl today. You're non-binary and all this bullshit. And people like me are like, well, wait a minute. Who cares? Who cares if you're a girl or a boy? Just do what you want to do because it's America. And if you want to dress up for a girl, then do it.
If you want to dress up like a dude, then do that.
Then do that.
Agree.
I mean, you do you, but they don't. They're like inculcating the kids with these political agendas, and people are getting caught up with how do I say it? They're getting caught up with, oh, you're dressing a boy like a girl, instead of looking at the bigger pictures. Why do you have to even bring that up to begin with?
Yeah. Why do you care what the kid
Why are we teaching kids, critical race theory when instead you could just teach the kids it don't matter what color your skin is, no matter what background it is. If you were born in this background, these are the steps you should try to take to overcome that. Instead, oh no, you were born black, so you're going to be poor and it's all the white person's fault and you're never going to be. Why would you teach someone that?
I don't know.
Instead,
I've never looked at critical race theory or know exactly what it says.
This guy has more money than you, or this kid has more money because his dad has more money. So he has this route to go if he wants to make his own money. You don't, so you have this route. You know what I mean? Let's teach that. Let's teach people how to be independent and to do things that can help them instead of just saying, you're rich, you have privilege, you're not rich, you're fucked.
Well, like I say, I don't think that as far as race goes, that's just ridiculous.
Well, that was just one area that I'm talking about that everyone's charged about.
The gender thing, I have my own opinions on that. We won't get started on that because I don't want to fire up everybody and lose viewers. But I think you could be any gender you want. Okay? You really can.
Yeah.
But to change your sex is impossible because your sex is boiled down to your DNA, how many chromosomes you were born with, that kind of thing. Now, are there those very, very rare cases where people have both? Absolutely. I'm not saying that does not happen. But in general, you can change your gender, but you cannot change your sex because you cannot change your DNA.
There's the one guy that's like popular on TikTok, YouTube, all that stuff. He always talks about it. He's always doing these like what is it? What's the word I'm looking for? Where there's a panel.
Yes.
He always does panels, and he always has people that are transgender, this and that, whatever, ask questions, and he flames them so hard with science and just all this and that. I can't think of his name, though. If somebody said his name, I would know who it is.
Is it this guy here? Because this guy does a little bit of the same thing. He doesn't really flame people, but...
No, it's some kind of political guy. I can't think of his name, though, but he's popular, and he just flames the...
But this dude here has a podcast where he has, like, panels of women that have different backgrounds.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, and some of the stuff that these guys get into is
the one...
crazy.
Now, I have seen him,
Yeah.
but the one with this person...
Right here, yes.
Is fucking hilarious.
I don't know if I've
because
ever seen
they
that
just attack the fuck out of that person. I think it's a guy. I'm pretty sure it is. Transgender, obviously.
Okay.
But, God, I want to say it's like John something or James something.
Yeah, anyway.
The one guy that I see that just totally breaks people down is Crowder is his name.
Oh, yeah, Steve Crowder.
Yeah. And like I say, he's actually very polite about it, and he hang on, here are the facts. I don't know where you got your information, but these are the facts that I have. Can you show me where you get your facts from? And they can't.
Right. Because they're not allowed to say CNN.
Well, no, they
because as soon as they say CNN, everyone laughs at them.
Yeah. Well, but there are a lot of them are saying, well, that's just what we've been. Oh, well, no, but you heard that, but who is prove that to me? Here's my proof that my information is correct from this particular agency and this particular agency and this particular agency. Where's your proof for what you're saying? And they can't come up with it.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that he does. But like I say, he's not a dick about it. He doesn't flame them. He's just like, okay, look, these are the actual facts on what you're saying. Here they are. Boom. So like, I like him. He's okay. Now he does get a little too far.
Nobody's perfect. Everyone has
Yeah.
their own beliefs.
But that's because right now, that's what I was going to try and say when you were on your rant and I couldn't speak.
Well, yeah.
Is we're so.
If I don't overtalk you, I never get a chance to finish a sentence.
It is so polarized as far as politicals right now, political points of
That's
view.
because it's fun. It's a game.
No, it's not.
But people think it is. I have to be one or the other, so I can play this game.
Right, but
They've
you have
turned
to be-
American politics into a game show.
But you have to be all in,
Yeah,
or you're out.
Or you're That's why I refuse to do it. I'll look
that's-
anyone in the eye and say I'm not. I'm
neither.
down the middle.
I'm pretty much a centrist myself.
There's rules
and
that
that's why.
There's laws that I like, and there's laws that I don't like.
Well, I think there's a lot of things that are like that, but politics is one of them. If you can't make up your own mind by what you see and what you look at, we'll never, ever have.
And I will
anything good.
never listen to a teenager ever. I will never sit down and take what a teenager says because I just won't. They're not old enough to really understand what they're talking about. They're old enough to read stats. They're old enough to mimic other people who know what they're talking about,
Right.
like Steve Crowder or someone else. That's what they're doing. They're a puppet. And the people, oh no, you just don't know intelligence. Yeah, I've met them all. I've sat there and tried to argue with them, and they just stick to their guns because they're kids and they don't really have
But they're
to.
like programmed.
Yeah,
Yes,
they don't
like,
have
that's
to
what they're-
actually. There's no consequences to what they
Yeah.
say. So when they, you should care what 16-year-olds and 18-year-olds. There is no way in hell I'm going to give a shit what an 18-year-old thinks about anything.
Well, I mean, there's a difference between not giving a shit and not taking what they say as the gospel, because they do have opinions, and
Oh, they have opinions, yes, but they haven't lived enough. They're usually not in debt enough to understand what
Right.
debt is. They've never owned a house.
lot of them,
and they
yes.
don't understand what it means to work your ass off to buy a house, to have it taken from you because taxes went through the roof. My mortgage I can afford. My taxes.
You had an injury or something, and now
Right.
you can't.
And
pay
now
your
you can't
mortgage.
work, and you don't know how to make money, and you have a choice. You
Yeah.
either live with someone or you go on the streets. They've never had to
deal with that stuff.
The percentages of them that have had those decisions is so
It's
minute.
very low, yeah.
But yet they all have opinions, and every single one of them will tell you what you should do. It's just I'm just like, no, don't waste my time. How about I listen to this older person who's lived more than I have, who's made more decisions than I have, both good and bad.
Right.
I'll listen to them because they have life experience.
See, and here's the thing that gets me, especially with the far Democrat people.
Democrat. I love it.
Democrats,
The Democrats.
Democrats, whatever you want to call them, and even the far Republican people. There is no room for a rational discussion with any of them.
Yeah.
They freak out, these social justice warriors, as they call them, which I think is the dumbest monogram ever. But they freak out and lose their shit over like stuff that's like, what?
Yeah.
I don't get it. Like, why are you like, especially with the gender thing? I get it. If you think that this is the way it should be, that's fine. But you shouldn't be getting yourself worked up to the point where you could have a freaking heart attack over something like this. Have your beliefs, fine. Talk about it.
Well-
but when you lose your freaking mind like that,
Theatrics is just a way to get people to shut up. If you're saying something ridiculous like, how dare you not give hormone blockers to a 5-year-old? There's not a sane person who thinks that's okay. It's just
know.
not. So they be theatrical and they fall apart to show you how much they care. It's just a way to get you to shut up.
yeah. What's like on the show that I was
That's like certain wannabe thugs who like instantly stick their chest out like they're going to hit you if you say something. They don't have an argument. They don't know what they're talking about. So they'll do that to try to scare
Right.
you because they're scared of what you're going to say.
Well, right, like the podcast I was just talking about that we were looking at. The one girl that comes on there quite regularly, she did a thing where she did, I think it was 50 dates in 50 days with 50 different people.
Yeah.
Because she wanted to do the experiment of how many different people can I go out with before I can make a decision of what I want. And people are flaming her, and I'm like, I don't know. 50 in 50 days is a little weird, but to be like, hey, I want to go out with different people so I can figure out what I like, what I don't like.
But you know what's wrong with that though? society-wise, you know what's wrong with that?
Nothing.
If a guy, no, what's wrong? Well, there's something wrong with that because if a guy was to do that, that would be wrong. 100%.
I don't think it's wrong for either.
No,
gender to do it.
we may not think it's wrong, but society does.
But I don't
That's
know.
why people were flaming her probably because if we were to go do that, we'd be looked at like fucking weirdos.
We're pigs, but
You know,
but no, I don't think there's anything wrong. I guess I think the concept of 50 and 50 is a little
Yeah.
weird. But I don't think that there's a problem with a woman saying, look, I'm going to date different people before I make a decision on what I want and where I want to be. I don't think there's anything wrong. I think that's intelligent.
that's what they do on shows like The Bachelor or Bachelorette. I mean, do you think they pick one person out of how many people are on that show? So I mean, it's pretty much the same thing. She's just doing it herself and not paying the people.
Yeah.
Right. But what had happened to her is, I can't remember. It's been a while since I watched it. But she got to a certain point and she met a guy. And she was like, that's it. I'm done with this project. I'm going to start dating this guy because she had found somebody that she actually connected with. And she said, I don't think I would have ever met this guy if it wasn't for me doing this.
Also, I can see it from the previous people up until that guy. Why they, the people that were flaming her were probably people that she turned down on the previous dates up until that guy that she found. So, I mean,
Well,
it is kind of, it's different. I mean,
the people that were flaming were calling her like, a whore or a slut and all that stuff. And she wasn't sleeping with people. She was going on dates. Yeah. And sometimes she said she would have to make up for like days she would miss it. She'd have to do like a lunch and the dinner with two different guys, whatever, the same day. Whatever.
Imagine going on a date with her and then later that afternoon you're just walking, down the
she's
road
out with some other
and she's
dude.
out with some other guy. You just be like,
What the fuck?
damn.
But I'm pretty sure, and like I say, it's been a long time since I watched it. I'm pretty sure that after she had these dates, she would explain to these guys what she was doing. She said someone would get mad and somebody be like, okay, that's kind of a cool experiment.
So she would explain it. I mean, okay, that makes more sense.
I don't think she just did it blind to people.
Yeah.
I think they knew. You know what I mean?
That makes more sense.
But at the same time, like I really, truly, like I said, and she wanted to do 50 and 50, and she only made it to whatever, I can't remember what number she went to, but she finally,
49.
No, I think it was in the 20s, if I remember correctly. And she finally figured out, and she met a guy, and they've been in a long-term relationship or whatever.
That's good.
So it didn't take her 50 to figure out what she wanted.
He just can't identify that taste.
Jesus Christ.
Anyways,
Moving on. I don't know. I don't think there's anything wrong with doing some basic experiments.
Then that's why I said it's society that puts that image out there, and society sucks. I mean, it does. It's like anything. If you view the world through what society wants you to believe the world is, it's fucking miserable.
Well, I mean, and
it's not real.
Yeah.
It's the virtual world.
Yeah, exactly. It's
And
miserable.
I can prove that. I've been in situations, because you guys all know what I do on the outside of here. I've been in situations where I've lost employment because of what I do.
Yeah, exactly. Like, your things that you are into, society would look at you and be like, "Shame on you.
Well,
You should be shunned."
Nowadays, certain societies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not everybody.
But
like,
There's a lot of people like me that don't give a shit.
yeah.
well, and the problem is with a lot of people, they don't understand what it is. They think it's something that it's not.
Yeah, we just don't give a shit.
Yeah. But that's the best way to
like
be.
I know, like the biggest thing for me is what was it? It was a couple months ago. Men's suicide or men's mental health awareness month or whatever. It gets overlooked. It pisses me off.
Yeah.
But like that's why I said society sucks. I'm glad I was raised by a single mother because I was shown that emotions are okay. Besides that, society's like, as a man, you're not supposed to show emotion. You're supposed to man up, be the man of the house, and things like that. It's just society just fucking
But
sucks.
at the same time, though, I mean, when you do that, you have to have your outlet, which is why men tend to like doing things that are more violent, shooting guns, shooting bow and arrows, boxing, MMA. That's why men tend to like that, because they're not supposed to have those emotions. So that's their outlet, and they need that.
Well, I think just understanding how the mind works would answer a lot of those questions.
I think so, too.
Like, for example, I mean, anyone who thinks that a man isn't never supposed to cry. Now, I'm not saying you should become a bumbling, bawling idiot at the drop of, like the kid who was bawling because he had to work all day at Starbucks. That's going too far. But if you lose someone like me last week.
Right.
I had my moments because I was in extreme stress.
Right.
Oh, for
But I
sure.
didn't just show up at Walmart and start bawling in the middle of the aisles. I
Yeah.
took care of my business. I let those emotions out. I dealt with them, in a private way.
Right.
So nobody knows about it, but I certainly didn't just ball them up and bottle them down,
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
And
I-
first
I'm not
off,
wrong.
I had every fucking good reason too.
Absolutely.
I understand the fact
Absolutely.
that what I was going through was extreme, and you got to deal with those emotions. So I think it just comes down to just how do I say it? I think it comes down to poor education based on entitlement and arrogance. Nobody wants to deal with
Right.
this because they're too busy having a good time. No one wants to teach their. Now my dad taught me this stuff. But I guess the longer I lived, the more I realized that my father was quite exceptional. He taught me how to shoot and respect guns at 5 years old.
So did mine.
He taught me how to ride motorcycles along with my brother. He taught me how to build things. He taught me how to repair things. He taught me how to camp and somewhat fish, although I have to give credit to him. I'm kind of a wussy when it comes to stuff like that. Like taking me fishing. The only time you take me fishing if you want to watch a human being fall into the lake. That's the only fucking thing I do when I
I
fish.
always want to see that. What are you talking about?
That's
Well, let's go fishing.
That's the only time. That's the only thing I do when I
Who
go
wouldn't
fishing.
want to watch that?
I'm the guy who falls in the lake each fucking time.
Hey, you probably wouldn't fall in this time though. I mean, it's probably frozen over enough.
I'm just saying. So camping was you have two complaining kids, and not to mention the fact that I was always sick when I was a kid. So my dad didn't get a lot of opportunities to do that with me. But no, he taught me. Racism doesn't exist. It doesn't matter what color your skin is. Look at the person, not the fucking color of the skin.
Absolutely.
Now, that's easier to do when you've raised in an Amish farm town where there was only one black kid that went to our school, and he
Right.
was just as white as the rest of us. But, however, my dad still taught me that. Don't look at the color of the skin. It doesn't mean anything. You have to look at the brains between the ears. He taught me as long as you don't start a fight, you can finish a fight, which worked with my brother, but me, I just got my ass kicked. My brother was really good at finishing fights. I just got my ass kicked. But anyways, I guess I don't know if it was where I grew up that helped me so much, or if it was my parents. But
I don't know. Like I was the same way. My dad taught me to respect guns and things like that.
and people and the law.
Right. Exactly. But the only thing that was different between that is, like, you see your dad explain things to you. My dad just was like, this is the way it is. And he never explained why anything was, that's the way it was. Like, I had to figure that shit out on my own, which I think is some good and somewhat not good. I mean, I think there's good points and bad points to having to figure
I think
out on your
figuring
own.
stuff out on your own helps you with problem solving. You learn to go get the information you're missing.
Yeah. But the problem is also when you have a child that is having rough times, like I did a lot when I was a kid, you have to abandon that idea to a certain extent. You know what I mean? You still have to have the situational awareness as a parent to be like, okay, this isn't working. My child doesn't even want to talk to me.
Yeah.
Which is what happened with me and my dad. Me and my dad very, very rarely spoke because he was just, no matter what you did, you were always doing it wrong and a dumbass because you didn't do it the way he did, but he wouldn't show you how he wanted you to do things.
Yeah. It's called arrogance.
So it's like, are you kidding me? Like, yeah. So, wow.
Yeah, it goes off a lot.
Yeah, that's the third time.
We've been doing this a while.
Yeah. So how late are we?
I don't care. I'll separate it into 2 episodes if I have to.
But yeah, I don't know. So I don't know. I think a lot of it does begin in the home. And like I will say, I've made some huge mistakes as a parent, and a lot of it is because of the trauma that I suffered as a child from my father. Like, I didn't want to do that to my kids, and it scares the shit out of you, and then you make really bad decisions because you were afraid of being something that was done to you. You know what I mean?
That's an excellent point. How many bad decisions were done because you were afraid of a bad decision?
Exactly.
You run from one decision and you create 6 bad ones because of it.
Exactly.
Instead of just, what is the right answer? Do you seek help at that time from a parent or a friend or
Honestly, I
a
probably
therapist?
should have. I probably should have.
Yeah.
To be 1,000% honest with you, I probably should have, but I didn't, and it made me.
I didn't either.
It made me a not great father.
I had to get help. It finally all boiled up, and then after I got the help, I'm like, oh, so this is how you're supposed to think.
Yeah.
That helped me a great, great deal. But I'm not going to say it's the same for everyone. You have to do what
Right.
works for you.
But I don't know. There was one phrase that somebody told me one time, and it helped me tremendously. But it just, I don't know. There's just so much that can happen. But the biggest thing you got to remember, if you're out there and you're a younger person, please stop doing that.
No.
You can never, ever control what people will say or do. The only thing you can control is how you react to what they do.
And don't give a shit.
So
no matter how good you are, someone's going to have a bad opinion. No matter how bad you are, someone's going to have a worse opinion.
So you just have to get to that point where you tell yourself, I have to react appropriately in every situation because I'm the only one that can make that happen.
That's another good thing. You're being youngest. Do they ever say anywhere? I mean, not excluding your family. We're talking like school, when they have police come in. Does anyone ever actually say the words, an adult is responsible for their behaviors? You have to take responsibility for how you behave when you're in society. I think that's where a lot of the problem comes in. These people, I'm talking about the people who don't get cheese on their hamburger, so they grab the trays of food and throw it at the workers, and they destroy the soda machines in the Wendy's and that because they didn't get what they want. I'm talking, and you can easily sum those people up as well. They have mental issues. But the truth is, did anyone ever tell them that they don't get to act like Grand Theft Auto in real life?
No, I mean, you're always brought up, you're always told that
you're a reflection of your parents.
Your actions have consequences and things like that, and pretty much that, if your home life is bad, you're going to be bad. You know? If your parents are argumentative.
I mean, is that a safe thing to do? Is just assume that everyone who does that
has a bad life,
right? Had a bad childhood. It just seems too broad for me. It seems too easy.
Yeah, it does. I listen.
Especially when I'm sorry. Especially when you look at the statistics, and most of the time, the people who do that are not only women, but they're like overweight white women who seem to have that. No, I'm not even joking. I'm not saying all of them. I've seen some black people do that, just fucking freak out over the stupid shit. But we're talking, the bulk of them are these entitled
Karens.
Yeah. I mean, what are the percentages? Has someone crunched the numbers and said, man, we really have an issue? Is this a suburban issue where they're not getting all their needs met?
Right.
Or is it because they're children and they never
millions and millions of things that happen.
No, go ahead.
Like, there's great videos on, like, YouTube, if you go, and you can see where they do stupid stuff and then they end up getting arrested and they think that they're in the right. Like, there's one where this woman freaks out on these guys that are fishing on a public dog, and says that they're being cruel to the animals or whatever, yada, 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 yada. And she takes the guy's fishing pole and throws it in the lake.
Right.
Oh, I've seen one.
Now, listen, the pole itself was like $150. The fucking reel was $100. So now that's grand freaking larceny, and she got charged with a felony.
I've seen one. I don't know what happened to it, but
are you kidding me?
It was just a TikTok video, but this guy same thing, was fishing in like almost like a channel. It was more or less like a channel connecting to a lake.
Right.
No. A crick in a channel.
Who cares? He was fishing. What happened?
A crick and a channel are different.
A cricket. He was a cricket in the channel.
Okay. Yes. But anyways, so all I remember in the video is he was just fishing. This lady was like yelling at him off of a dock, and she ends up saying, she's like, does something, says, well, no more fishing, and she jumps in to the fucking wherever they were and fucking scares all the fish away. He's like, oh, damn it, now you scared all the fish away. He's like reeling in, and they just drive off. But she jumps in the fucking wherever and scares all the fish away.
So my question now becomes, was she mentally ill, or was she that desperate to win? Because one is a broken brain, and the other one is so arrogant that you're willing to ruin your day.
I think a lot of it's number two. I'm not saying all of it, but I think a lot of it's number two.
Well, I guess that's my question: is what are the percentages? Like, how entitled have we become as a country?
Right. There's another one where a guy's fishing in a boat, and he goes into like the marina area, and he's fishing under the dock because there's like a lot of fish under the docks.
The cricket in the channel.
Crick, yes. But anyway, the security guard comes and says he's not allowed to fish there because fishing isn't allowed from the dock. The guy's like, I'm not on the dock. I'm on a boat. I'm not fishing from the dock. Cop, see this boat, dock. So the guy calls the cops.
Yeah.
And the fishing game people come down. And they're like, no, he's right. He can fish from the boat.
See, that's where I agree with it. Call the cops. Call the cops. A lot of these guys just think that they'll just take the law in their own hands.
Yeah.
But for example, let's Oh, I had an example and it left that quickly. But yeah, call the cops. Let the cops deal with it because they know the laws. They can look into the laws, and then nobody gets arrested.
Right.
But they don't do that. They want to just, this guy thinks I'm a joke. I'm going to beat his ass.
But then the thing with that was that guy did that, called the cops, and then the cop had the fish and game people come. They didn't send the actual police.
Right.
But the fish and game guy come down and said, no, he's perfectly legal to fish from his boat under the dock. He's not allowed to fish from your property, per se, of the marina, whatever, absolutely. But he's not. The lake is public property. It's a public lake. He's on that lake in his boat. He's perfectly fine. So like 3-4 weeks later, the guy came back, and security guard came out, apologized for what he said and how, because I just didn't understand the rule.
Right.
And now
that's the way it's supposed to happen.
And they're talking and like they're very like they're not screaming, yelling, acting like idiots. And yeah, it's kind of cool like to watch some stuff like that.
Yeah, because it doesn't happen that often. Usually someone's ego gets in the way.
And we'll still call the cops every time that person comes, even though they know he's not. Yeah. But it's just crazy.
That's the difference between maturity, and just pure emotionalism.
Right.
That's why they say arrogance is stupidity. They're hand in hand.
See, that it happens
a lot. Your ego gets involved, and
it happens a lot with hunters too, because like people that hunt will lease property or whatever, and that's where they hunt. Well, down the road is some lady that puts out food for the deer, and she thinks those are her deer.
Right.
No, it doesn't work like you don't own wildlife, lady.
Right. I would love to feed the deer out back here, but if one of them didn't show up anymore, I wouldn't be like calling up the hunters. It's just life. I mean, it
happens.
But I would love to see. I think deer look beautiful, but I also understand how destructive they can be.
And how delicious they are.
I was just about to say, and how delicious they are.
And the biggest problem with people that don't want the deer thing is they don't understand how they breed and how fast they will overpopulate and end up killing themselves.
That is the argument. For some reason, nobody seems to argue that. But that's when people say, hunters. And I say, you don't want that.
Yes.
The second you take away hunting and hunters, your life becomes hell.
Or it's just like coyotes.
Yeah.
People don't want farmers and stuff killing coyotes, but they are a menace to farmers.
Oh, are you
And
kidding
they'll
me?
kill dogs. They'll kill anything.
They'll kill
cats.
anything.
They don't care.
Coyotes are a menace to society.
terrible.
I mean, I don't want them to go extinct, but we need to keep them under control. And
Absolutely.
And Ohio especially uses hunters to do that. Deer have no natural enemies in Ohio.
Other than coyotes.
Even then, though.
I've never seen a group of coyotes take down a deer.
Well, now not
It's not
necessarily or a full-grown mature deer. No, but they will go after young ones.
Yeah.
Ones that are hurt.
Yeah.
Things like that.
That's true. That they help clean up the forest if you think about it. But no, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying that I know that big deer have no natural enemies, and if it wasn't for hunting, none of us would have a car that was in a normal shape.
Yeah, and it's still like that. Like I say, my cousin.
Yeah.
But not my real cousin, but my cousin has property where he's at, and he gets nuisance permits every year to shoot and kill deer during the summer because they cause so much destruction to property, and not just his crops, but I'm talking property of people that drive on the roads around there. I'm talking the other farmers that have things out there that get destroyed because they eat acres and acres and acres of corn and soybeans that these people live off of.
Yeah.
You just can't do it. Like, it's so bad where they live, him and my brother both. When I was like, hey, man, you guys lease that property. Can I hunt there? Their exact words are, kill every fucking deer you see.
Yeah.
Because they hate them.
Yeah. Well, it's just another good example is I have a chipmunk that lives under my patio. And he's the most adorable little thing.
Yeah, but don't live under my patio, homie.
Right. He's
Woods are
removed.
over there.
He's actually removed so much soil under my patio that now my patio, the
sinking.
cement is sliding. It's busted, and so now I got to pay someone to inject shit.
Yeah.
So I mean, this thing is
level it
adorable,
out.
and I love watching him, but he's costing me money.
That's what a groundhog's doing to our house right now.
Right. So I mean, these
One of my
animals
food
are
comes up,
cute.
take care of that.
These animals are cute, but they're like you said, they're a menace. So where do you draw the line? Well, you know where I draw the line? If they exist out in the wilderness, that's great. If they exist where they can do me damage, fuck those animals. They're going down.
If it costs me money, shoot them.
Yeah.
But no, and that's just it. And like I said, I think it was Jeff Foxworthy actually did a scenario where, and I forget if it was on a special or whatever it's funny, but he said, say you got this much property. So that much property can sustain 12 deer in a healthy environment.
Yeah.
So in a healthy environment, you have 50% does, 50% bucks. So after 1 year, your does will drop at least one fawn. Most will drop 2 until they hit a certain age. And the first time they have fawns, sometimes they'll have 3. So in 1 year, if you have, say, that property will hold 20 deer, now you have 45 deer.
Right.
Just from having the babies. So now, naturally, they will disperse. So, and I don't know how they do this. Somebody that's into nature can maybe explain it. But they do disperse so the males don't have all their brothers and sisters impregnating. But usually it's the
they
males.
go find their own territory.
Yes, it's usually the male deer that leave and go. Yeah, exactly. But you still have that many more deer there now. So in like if you have 50% of the deer that you can sustain on a property, in 3 years, you're overpopulated by 100%. And there's no food, and those deer are starving.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like I said, they never think about that.
But it was really a good
I don't
way
want to go hunting, but I have no issue if somebody wants to go hunting. And if they can't afford the bullets, I'll buy them. Because you got to keep the shit under control. It's that simple.
There's just, and there really isn't. I mean, I'm not saying, like I said, there are natural predators for deer in Ohio, but it's very, very, very few. That's like, I had another buddy that his uncle, I think, went out hunting somewhere in southern Ohio and almost stepped on a rattlesnake. So
in Ohio?
Yeah, so he called the Department of Natural Resources, like, hey, I was in this area and I almost stepped on a rattlesnake. And he got the runaround for a little while, and he finally talked to somebody, and they said, oh, yeah, we released some rattlesnakes in that area because of how many wild turkey they have, and that's one of the things that eats wild turkey eggs is rattlesnakes.
Well, yeah, but rattlesnakes can kill people.
And I was like, why didn't they just tell people to shoot 2
Yeah,
turkeys
you
that
see
year
a turkey
instead of
last-
1?
There's a lasso class we're going to have in a week.
No, people hunt wild turkey all the time.
Oh, I know.
But
We
you're only allowed
have
to-
them in our backyard.
You're only allowed to take 1 a year in most places. Why wouldn't you just say, okay, in this area, take 2? Instead, rattlesnakes.
That's insane. And then how do the rattlesnakes survive the winters?
Apparently they can, well, it's a southern Ohio, so it's probably not as bad as here. But I don't know. Apparently they can take it.
All right. See, that's one thing I don't want. I don't want to have to start worrying about when I walk to a small thing of forest to get my leg bit off by some gosh damn venomous snake because they were worried about turkeys.
Fucking boa constrictor just
Right.
out there waiting for you.
No, that's
ball
Florida.
python.
Is that a
That's
stick?
No, if you're walking through the woods and you smell cucumbers, stop.
Cucumbers.
Yep. Copperheads smell like cucumbers.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
I swear to God.
So like 3 trees over, there's a cucumber, garden from someone, and I'm like, run.
No, don't run. That's the worst thing you can do.
Great.
Stop.
What's the most poisonous snake in Ohio? I'm pretty sure it's just a.
Copperhead, I think.
Copperhead.
Is
Yeah.
it copperhead?
I think
Yeah, I think
copperhead's
that's
the
only
only
venomous snake
thing
in Ohio.
No, because we have the snake, or the water, whatever thingies.
Cottonmouth? I don't think we have cottonmouth.
Just
at all.
I think we do. I think
most-
that's. I'm not 100%, but I think that's the.
most venomous snake.
What?
I don't know how to spell venomous. Sorry.
Okay, Iowa. Boom, 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 boom. Only 3 species: copperhead, and whatever the fuck that is, and the timber rattlesnake.
Massachusetts.
Yeah, somebody else can try to
Isn't that
pronounce
a
that one. Yes. Whatever that thing is, but let's see.
Massa sausage?
Massasaga.
Wait, I thought that was Star Wars.
Might have been. 28 snakes in Ohio. 3 are venomous.
They're all southern Ohio, though, right?
Probably. Well, the timber rattlers might not be because they can live in the forest in the cold.
Oh, we got snakes up here.
Yeah, but they're gardener snakes, and
Yeah.
those are adorable.
Rat snakes, all kinds of stuff like that. But yeah.
My wife and I almost had a weep when she accidentally ran one over with the lawnmower.
Look
The
at
little
him.
shit stuck his head out of the hole, and then she said, little gardener snake.
He's cute.
What's that?
It's a milk snake.
A milk snake. Mm-hmm. Does that mean you can milk it?
You probably could. I don't know.
See, I thought rat snakes
There's
were
rats.
venomous.
Look at that.
Isn't he cute?
I thought they were venomous.
No.
Well, I think all snakes are venomous, but it's just not to certain people. Like, it doesn't hurt humans.
If it's a constrictor, they're not venomous.
Well.
At all. Now, I know like certain lizards and like alligators, and now, of course, an alligator's big enough to just rip you apart.
Yeah.
But if they bite you, they put so much bacteria and viruses
Yes.
into you that you need to go. Like I know I've heard of people who keep like salamanders and that as pets, and then it'll bite them, and then they think, "Oh, you little shit!" Put a Band-Aid on it, and then like 2 weeks later they're dead because there's so much bacteria around that thing's mouth.
I don't mean to laugh at death, but you're just like 2 weeks
most
later.
people don't realize that.
Anyway,
No, I didn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
we've done like an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah, pretty much. So I think we're going to wrap this up. I don't know how I'm going to deal with it. I may just drop a 2-hour episode.
Oh, whatever.
It's our return.
Yeah.
I was
A
gonna say,
return
we-
special.
We missed one.
we
so-
went big for the first one.
Right. Everyone after this is going to be about 30 minutes to 45 minutes.
I don't think we could do only a 30-minute one because we get to talking about crap,
Yeah.
and it's like
Yeah.
an hour and 45 minutes later. We're like, oh shit, how long?
Maybe
we been
that's
on?
why nobody comes on. I'm like, these guys won't let me speak.
Oh Jesus.
But we are going to get better, guys. We're going to try to get some guests on here and have something other
Right.
than just work and political talk. And
Hey, we didn't talk about work today.
no, it's true.
we
And
did
we're not
not.
going to either.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
nope.
except for he just ruined it.
All I did was bring up the concept. I didn't. All right, we're going to go. We will see you next week.
Love, peace, and grease.
Grease?
Hair grease. Love, peace, and hair. You never heard anybody say love, peace, and
No,
hair grease?
I never heard that.
Oh my God.
Have you heard that?
No.
There you go. See, only
right.
one of us.
Later.